So I was born into a family of musicians. They were in a band, a country western cover band, my whole life. And so I think it was important that that I learned an instrument. It was important to them, and I liked piano, so that was my first instrument. I started taking lessons when I was pretty young. And when I was about 15, I picked up a guitar and started trying to figure out how to play guitar. And then when I was, I don't know, like 38, I picked up an ukulele and learned how to play that. So I play piano, guitar, and ukulele now in my performances, typically. Yeah, and I became interested because my parents were musicians, and so I was maybe interested in them. Exactly. It was not something that I necessarily had to have interest in because it was presented to me in such a way that it was just a daily part of our lives, for sure. So my biggest musical influence would probably be my mother. She was a singer and a keyboard player. So I grew up, of course, listening to her sing. And her biggest influence was Patsy Cline. So I think tonight you might hear a little bit of some influence there, an indirect Patsy Cline influence via my mother. And some other musicians that are really inspiring to me, just mostly as artists, would be Nina Simone, Eartha Kitt, Edith Piaf, and Ella Fitzgerald are some bigger names that everybody would know. And then I really enjoy Over the Rhine. It's sort of the only band that I listen to. They are just a real genre fluid, jazzy, bluesy, Americana band, but they're all over the place, and they've been doing this for a real long time, so they have a huge catalog, and I really admire that about musicians that change over time and they can play almost any genre, which of course is what I aspire to. And what keeps me going when things get tough, there is something about being a songwriter that helps me to process my life experiences in a way that it feels complete, concise. I almost look at it as like these songs build a monument that I can go back to, and I can say, this is where I was. This is what I believed at that time. And I believe that the prophetic nature of art, that it was true, it is true, and it will be true, is a real grounding experience for me as a songwriter. It helps me find my way, and it does. It's a way for me to look forward and really listen deeply. Because when I write music, I go to a very deep place, a place that sort of gets past my conscious brain and into my sort of the unconscious, where usually that's where the things are that need to be worked through so that you can actually move forward. And music really helps me do that. I would say that I don't have a great answer for that. because I'm not exactly sure that I've invested really deeply in that specific genre. That is where I usually get categorized because of the nostalgic quality of my voice and the sort of jazzy undertones of chord progressions. And I think it's the nostalgia, and that I can see, like, because it's nostalgic, I see it, obviously it sticks around because it makes people feel something familiar, even though the songs are new. So that as a jazz pop musician, I love the idea of making new versions of old styles or traditional styles, where you can, you use words that you would hear in music on the radio. You can put that into a jazz standard progression and sing it, in that sort of way. And I think that that's a unique way of communicating an old form or a past form. And I'm trying to think, there's a musician that I really love. She goes by Victory. I believe Victory Boyd is the name. And I would call her genre fluid, but she's got that undertone, kind of a little bit of a Stevie Wonder, but jazz, and it's really good. So I really enjoy her a lot. Sure. So my creative process certainly has changed since COVID hit and my children were in my space 24/7. Normally I would sit down, or I should say historically, I would sit down and I would write a song from start to finish in one sitting. And it usually would be inspired by one or two chords. Oh, I like the way that those two fit together, or just a line from whatever song I was going to write, a line that came to me. And then I would just build from there. Usually, like, from the beginning, when I would feel inspired, it's that first line, and I just build from there. And I know a lot of people, I think they start with their chorus, and I don't know that I've ever started with my chorus. I don't even know if I write choruses. I think I might sometimes, but yeah, it's very, very much like an idea, usually based on some experience that I need to process. And word choice comes into play when I start to see what genre it's going to sort of represent, or what instrument that I'm going to play. So guitar and piano, I have a little bit more of an idea of where I'm at on the instrument. But on ukulele, I decided that I would not teach myself any of the chords, and I would feel my way through it. So my ukulele stuff, although I'm not playing that tonight, because we didn't have it. That's good. It was a good choice. Those are usually, I'm just winging it, and I can just feel where I'm supposed to go with the chord. And so they're usually a bit more complex, which is interesting because it's such a simple instrument. Four strings is a lot easier to manage than 6 for some reason, for me. But yeah, what was the last part of the question?
Do you consciously work to convey certain messages or songs?
I think that I have a message in me, so I'm often conveying the same message, which for me is really about freedom. It's about freedom typically from my own oppression, and love. I mean, I love a love song, but. So yeah, I would say freedom and love are big ones, and I really love. If I were to say what my mission was, it's to be as honest and transparent in my music and in my performance, and about my life, so that people can see that if somebody can be comfortable doing that into a microphone, that maybe they can do it not into a microphone, but maybe even just be honest with themselves about things in their life, things in their heart, relationships, belief systems. And then the other part of that would of course come in with because I am neurodivergent, that's integrated into my performance, and so there's a lot of education that comes with that, and you'd be amazed at the number of people that have come up to me and said, I've never heard somebody, say my diagnosis like that into a microphone in a positive way, or explain the way through that, or give a resource that they didn't know existed. Because a lot of times, with mental health and neurological differences, you can feel really alone. And so when you see somebody up there that's just like, I was laying in my bed for week 3, and you're like, well, that happens to me too, And yet this is a person who has profound ADHD and is up. I showed up, I was on time, I did my work, and I'm performing, I can do things. And I think a lot of times too, parents need to see adult people who are successful in what they're doing, because they're looking at their child wondering, is my kid gonna make it? Are they gonna get through high school? Are they gonna get through elementary school? Are they gonna have a dream, and are they gonna be able to pursue their dream? So I think that is another really, really important part of what I do, is sort of as a witness, testimony to parents and grandparents and their children too when they're there, but just that there is success, and there is joy, and our brains are beautiful, and we'll find a way to have to make our dreams come true, and that there are ways to support people with certain diagnoses and mental health challenges that can really bring about a really beautiful life, that there's hope for that.
And also that it's really okay to do things maybe in a different way.
Yes, and to break out of the mold of the one path and the timeline. That's another really important thing. I'll be 45 this year, and I'm just starting my career in some ways. I've been doing this for a long time, but I haven't been able to invest in it until now. And so, just to remove that timeline from your child, from yourself, from your parent, just remove the method and the timeline, and let people grow, and let people blossom, and let people pursue in a way that fits their neurology, fits their body, fits their history, and that just really fosters freedom for them, yeah. There are going to be a lot of people that tell you how to do it and what you should and should not do. And there's great advice. People have a lot of really good advice, but it's a learn it on the job sort of a thing. I would say, again, this is bringing up my advocacy for neurodiversity and mental health, that is really important to consider, that you do not put yourself in environments that are harmful to you, business relationships that are harmful to you, and that you really, really take care of your mental health and your physical health, because you can get into this space of, I have to take every job that comes my way, and also know your worth. You really have to know your worth and then charge at least twice that, because chances are you are worth more than what you think you are. But I'm getting there, so this is going to get expensive. I don't know. Wait, what? No. So I would say that that the idea again, like I said before, that there's one way to do this. And take time to educate yourself as far as the kinds of opportunities that music can afford. If you're a great composer, you can do music for sync and licensing. I'm a songwriter, and I do music for sync and licensing, for TV and film, web series, advertisement. And I would say diversify as much as you can if you're interested, if you have great collaborators and stuff like that. I think in this particular time, collaboration is a huge movement. My favorite place to play music is by myself in my studio. I really enjoy just playing music and singing for myself, writing music, working on new music. That's my favorite. And then my second would be for a very captive audience that planned on coming to see me. So I don't do gigs that are background music. So some of my favorite experiences have been at Dakota, at Cedar Cultural Center, and Astor Cafe is a very eclectic space that can be really, really good if I can fill it with my people. Because they know, like, if they're sitting right in front of me, that I can hear their conversation, even if I'm in a song. Yes. So that those are maybe my top three. There are a lot of venues. I mean, I would love to break into the more theater spaces, and then of course Greater Minnesota, and I have some connections in LA. There's some places that I'd like to play there, and some connections in New York City, and there are places that I want to play there. My life does not yet allow me to travel too far for shows, but I'm getting there.